When I first built my rain harvesting system, I thought 80 gallons was more than enough. After all, I live in Florida, where there is always an afternoon thunder shower, even if last summer was pretty dry. But then, during the month of April, we went 20 days without rain, and my 80 gallons only lasted 12 days. That let me know I needed to expand. After doing some quick calculations, I figured 200 gallons would probably get me through an entire month. I did some checking on Facebook Marketplace and found this really nice couple selling food-safe 55-gallon barrels for $20. I bought 3 to add to the existing containers to give me the 200-gallon total I needed, and then set a couple in place to see how much room would be required. In the original setup video, I mentioned that I used 1.5-inch PVC pipe to connect the barrels, and wanted to be consistent with that, even if all the barrels were not the same size. But this created a problem because the 1.5-inch bulkhead was too big for the opening on top that would allow me to fish it through the way I saw in a lot of videos. And then I found a video where a guy cut the barrel top and then turned the top upside down, and it fit perfectly. This gave me the option of cutting the barrels with my multi-tool, like I saw in his video. These are some strong barrels because doing that was no easy task, and there were a lot of burrs from the cut. When I turned the top upside down, it did not fit snugly. I thought all the burrs were preventing the top fitting well, so I tried trimming them off, and it still didn't fit snugly. It was at this point that I thought cutting the barrels with a jigsaw might produce a smoother cut. At $20 a barrel, I could afford to experiment. And once I tried it, realized I was right. The jigsaw went a lot faster and didn't create the large burrs. However, the top still didn't fit snugly. It was then that I realized that the cut was so smooth, I could install the bulkheads and then tape the barrel back together. It was at least worth a try, so I proceeded with that as my plan. From there, I rinsed out the barrels that were surprisingly clean and mostly just had plastic shavings from the barrel cutting. I measured and marked where to position the bulkhead and then made my cuts. Followed by the fun part, getting down into the barrel to insert and caulk the bulkhead. I'll admit to feeling like a raccoon in a dumpster, but it did work. And I simply had to let the caulking set while I moved to the next barrel. The next day, I followed the process from the first barrels, cutting the final top and adding the bulkheads. While I was doing this, dark clouds were beginning to form, so I had to work quickly. With the 3 new barrels done, I was ready to tackle cutting into one of the gray trash cans to start the process of connecting everything. I didn't have to worry about water coming out because the bulkhead would be above the last remaining water in the can. I cleaned out any plastic that had fallen inside by using a small section of window screen to scoop it up. I was almost at the end, where I simply needed to cut the length of PVC pipe that would connect the barrels. And not a moment too soon, because those dark clouds were getting even darker. I once again checked level and cut the connecting PVC pipe. I decided on 9 inches for these barrels to take up less room on this side of the yard. And then began to connect the barrels. The thing I like about this approach is that the bulkheads are attached to the barrels, so all I need to do is unscrew the joining PVC pipes if I need to make repairs, because no caulking or glue was used on them. And just when I thought I was home free, the second barrel was too high. So I had to move the cinder blocks and lower the level to have them match up. I once again checked level, and with that done, I could hook up the second and then the third barrel. With all the barrels now connected, I was ready to play Tetris and match up the tops. I put markings on each top and barrel, so it wasn't as hard as it might have been. I started with small sections of tape to set the top in place, and then followed up with longer strips. I finished the last barrel not a moment too soon because I could feel a few drops of rain beginning to fall. But wouldn't you know it, as soon as I pressed the last piece of tape in place, the drops of rain stopped, just like that. And there was no rain that day or the next. But that's okay. I've got it set up, and we'll come back and add exhaust vents to the new barrels and wait for the next thunderstorm 2 days from now. See you next time.